Hello there, friends. My name is Emily Good. Welcome to or welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for being here. Today I am going to be talking about my October wrap-up. I read six books. I read 6 books this month. I'm very proud of that. It's my first real month of getting back into booktube and reading, and I've been reading books here and there, but I'm very proud of my progress. I had a 1-star review all the way up to 5-star reviews, and I'm going to get into it. So I'm going to go from the ones I like the least to the most. And I'm going to list them all down below with the author so that you know what I'm talking about. I'm sorry that I'm not going to post the pictures. I just don't edit them like that. I just kind of post as I... Okay, so yeah. So I had... So I'm going to list them down below with the author so that you know what I'm talking about. And yeah, I'll just get started. So... my 1-star review was The Roanoke Girls by Amy Engel. So after Lane's mom's suicide, she goes to live with family that she really didn't even know that she had. It's in rural Kansas. So she moves from New York City to rural Kansas, and she finds the grandparents and the cousin that she didn't know that she had. She comes to discover that all Roanoke girls are beautiful, and so it's Lane Roanoke. So their grandparents are the Roanokes, and so is her cousin. And she basically, once she gets there, she realizes that Roanoke girls either die or they run. Her mom is the one that ran, and you just kind of come to learn this family history. Why did I give it a 1-star read? I didn't like any of the characters. I was gripped, which normally makes me give a higher review. But even though I was gripped the whole time, I guess I wanted to know what happened, what the mystery was and what happened. But I did not like a single one of the characters. I didn't like one of them. I didn't care about any of them. And not only that, the one that I maybe did care about the most, she was still extremely unlikable. Some people can read unlikable characters. I just am like, I don't care I don't care. So that was hard already, but I really didn't enjoy it because also trigger warnings are incest, and I don't have history with that. So I don't know how a victim, I don't know if this is realistic or not. Of course, it's a fiction book. I just don't know if I entirely believed the way that the victims felt about their perpetrator. And I could be totally wrong, but for me, I would like to think that victims hate their perpetrators, especially with that type of scenario. And the fact that they didn't, it just kind of made me feel icky, I guess. It made me feel icky that these girls felt like that, and maybe that's wrong of me, but that's just honestly the way that I felt. I didn't enjoy it at all. Don't take my word for it, though. If that's your type of thing and you like to read like family dynamic, like the family dynamic, it was interesting. So if you like that type of thing and you have not checked it out yet, it was rated 3.7 on Goodreads. So my opinion, definitely, somebody might not agree with me. Obviously, lots of people don't agree with me, but I just personally did not like it. So moving on to my 2-star review, what that I was kind of disappointed in was Remarkably Bright Creatures by Shelly Van Pelt. So I had heard a lot about this. I'm in lots of reading groups on Facebook, and I've read time and time again that people love this book. They love this story. And I'll tell you what it's about. So you've got Tova. You have Tova, and she works in an aquarium. and she's been working there. She likes to keep busy. She's this really sweet lady. I really liked her a lot. And she works at this aquarium where she makes friends with Marcellus, who is an octopus, which was really cool. I really, really loved Marcellus, and I love Tova a lot. So Tova is kind of confused as to what happened to her son. Her son went missing 30 years ago, and she's never found out what happened to him. And that's kind of something, obviously, that like weighs on her. And Marcellus is this octopus, and of course you get to see his point of view a lot. And he as an octopus is very intelligent. He's able to kind of be all-knowing, sort of, and he just knows things, and that's never really intruded upon anyone's life until Tova, because he just comes to love her and wants to help her find out what happened to her son all those years ago. So it's kind of a journey of seeing the ways that he tries to let her know what happened. And that was, honestly, the more I talk about it, the more I want to reread it. And you know what I think happened, why I only gave it 2 stars? I listened to it on Audible. I don't know, and I think that I might consider rereading it in the future, because I think I might have a totally different experience if I actually read the physical book. And that would be unfortunate if like that's how I felt, because otherwise I don't know all the different books that I've listened to before that I was like, I don't really like this, because maybe I didn't like the narrator. I think that the book took me too long to get through. I was listening to it and it just took me a while, so sometimes I was forgetting what was happening a little bit. But also I think maybe I didn't like the narrator totally. This book is rated 4.48 on Goodreads. I've heard really, really good things about it. I know that a lot of people really, really like it, and I was really hoping to. It had all the different things about it that I would generally love. It was a really nice coming of age. It was a really lovely friendship. It was really different. I love aquariums, so like that setting was interesting to me. I don't know if maybe I didn't like the narration. I felt like I could have gotten to know Tova better. Like I kind of felt like I would have liked to get to know her better, maybe. And again, I might have gotten to know her better if I had read the book versus listened to it. So I think I might give that a chance in the future. Let me know if you've read that book and what your experience was, because I've only read good things about it. So I was surprised about my reaction to it. Moving on to my 3-star review, which was Needful Things by Stephen King. I did make a video on what I thought of it that I think I might scrap, because I think that I gave away spoilers. I may or I may have not. So here I'm just going to talk about what I thought of it and why I gave it 3 stars. So Needful Things is about a mysterious man, Leland Gaunt. He moves to Castle Rock, Maine, and he's opening up a shop. Nobody knows him. It's a small town. Think everybody knows everybody. And there's this mysterious Leland Gaunt who moves into town and opens up a shop. Well, at Needful Things, we come to learn that there is something for everyone. It's not just something for everyone. It's your most prized possession. Think healing stones that can help with arthritis. Think a baseball card that's impossible to find. Think carnival glass. It's people's most prized possessions. And people think that maybe they can't afford it. Well, come to find out that it's not just money that Mr. Gaunt accepts. He accepts both money, and he asks basically the different people who buy from him to also perform a little harmless prank on somebody else in the town. And the pranks get more and more and more less fun-loving, innocent, and the trouble ensues from there. I enjoyed the premise of a shop, of people finding what they need the most. And I really enjoyed that a lot. I love the plot. I love the mysterious man moving into town. And I really enjoyed several of the different stories, several of the different characters. I really enjoyed that. So up until maybe I'm not sure how far into the book, I was thinking I was going to give it a 4 or a 5 star. But honestly, the further and further I got into the book and the more and more and more different plot lines that were happening with it, I was just like, come on. Like, just for myself, I felt like some of the paragraphs were wasted. I felt like paragraphs did not need to happen. Like, there was so much explanation. And I know that that's how Stephen King writes, and I appreciate him for that. But it's an 800-page book, and I just didn't think that the 800 pages added to the story completely. Like, I didn't think that a lot of the pages even needed to be there. A lot of the different plot lines, like, it just ended up getting to be so much, so dragged out. Like, I forgot what this damn person did to this person. I was just like, what? Why is all of this? Why were these paragraphs upon paragraphs? It just felt a little much for me. And again, I really liked the plot. I really liked some of the different characters a lot. I just love the way that he writes. They're just all so relatable, a lot of them, and I love that. And towards the end, the way that it ended, I was like, what? How would that have even happened? Like, it didn't resonate with me the most. So I didn't love the ending, and I just thought it was a little unrealistic, which of course the whole book is kind of unrealistic, but like, that was really unrealistic to me. So that was kind of what I thought about Needful Things. Would I read it again? Would I recommend it to somebody? Yes, I would. Actually, I would do both of those things. It's a fun plot. It's a fun book. And if you don't mind reading a lot of pages, which I don't mind reading a lot of pages, but 800 pages, I just didn't think that it was all totally necessary. But I did enjoy it. And again, I would recommend that book still. It was a fun horror book. It had an interesting plot line, and yeah, that's what I'll say about that. Another 3-star review, which was also surprising, was The Extraordinary Life of Sam Hell. Now, this might be another one that I might have ranked higher had I actually read the physical book. So again, I'm not writing it off completely, but I did give it 3 stars. So Sam Hell, we start out with the day that he was born, and he comes out with red eyes. And it kind of takes you through like his boyhood days of meeting. So people at his Catholic school call him Devil Boy. He's very much an outsider because he's got these red eyes, and all these Catholic people think that he's like the son of the devil and stuff like that. And so he's an outsider, basically. And one day in elementary school or middle school, he meets his friend Ernie, and he's black, so he's the only black person in the school. So you get to kind of see them come together. They form a beautiful, beautiful friendship. They fight off a bully together. They go through their lives being friends and just really supportive of each other. It's a beautiful friendship. And then Mickey comes along, the girl, the hot bombshell, out of place girl comes. And so they all form this like trio friendship, and it kind of takes you through their lives together. The Extraordinary Life of Sam Hell was extremely... I don't know if I've heard this being mentioned before. I almost think of movie form. What would I compare it to? Forrest Gump, actually. He's got a really close relationship with his mom. He's got, instead of like the leg back issues, he's got his eyes. And it just kind of takes you through his life and how that kind of affects his life. That's what I would compare it to, kind of. So it was good. It was good and it was enjoyable. But again, I don't know if I loved the narrator maybe. And I maybe would have gotten more from it if I had read the physical book. So yeah, I would recommend it. Again, I would recommend it if you love like a fun-loving story of a character who's got his adversity and he makes really good friends and finds his place in this world and goes on to do lots of good things. You would probably really enjoy this book. I gave it 3 stars because I maybe just didn't enjoy my personal reading experience of it. But again, I would try to read it again, maybe in the future. Not right now, but maybe in the future, I would consider reading it again. So, moving on to my 5-star reads, both of which I have made individual videos, which I will link down below if you're interested. So a book that I don't hear about a lot on here and that is actually very difficult to get your hands on a physical copy, at least in my experience. I would love a physical copy, but I have not found that yet. I did make a bid on eBay and nobody ever got back to me on it. I bid $10 over and nobody got back to me about it. So I do not have that. But it's Westlake Soul by Rio Ewers. And again, I will put it down below so that if you're interested in it, you can get it because I want you to. So Westlake Soul is our character, and it starts out, he gets into a surfing accident and he is put in a vegetative state. He's laying in a hospital bed and then he's transferred home. The doctors don't see him living long. They kind of try to talk the parents into taking him off life support, which you get to see the family kind of grapple with that. And what's going on inside of Westlake Soul, it's kind of science fiction in the way that you get to hear his struggles with being in a vegetative state, and he's actually in his vegetative state, he is able to transcend his actual body. So he's able to go to space. He's able to go and see where his ex-girlfriend is, like not in a weird way. Like he's very, very comes from a place of integrity always, I feel. But the only person that he's able to communicate with is the family dog. So I made a different video on it, so I'm not going to talk too much about it, but I highly, highly recommend this story. I think that it's amazing. There were multiple times in the book where I was like, oh my God, I can't believe that was written down. Like, I can't believe that this is a character I'm reading about in a book because they just feel so real to me. And I love a story like that. I live for a story like that. So one that just really makes me feel the characters in it, and this one totally did that for me. So Westlake Soul by Rio Ewers, I highly recommend. And again, I will link the video down below that I talk about it in more detail. And my 6th and final book that I read in the month of October was Angry Housewives Eating Bonbons by Lorna Landvik. So if you really like a female author, I started watching more and more interviews with her. She does improv. She is an actor too, and she writes these books, and I really just love her as a person now, not just an author. But yeah, she wrote Angry Housewives Eating Bonbons. So again, I did make a video about like why I think that you should read it and who I think would really enjoy the book, but I'll just talk about it now. So it's a book club. They start out as young moms and they're all living in the same neighborhood, and they start this book club together. And the book club spans, I forget how many years. It's like 40 years or something like that. It goes from like, is it the 60s or the 70s? It's like, no, okay, so maybe it's 30 years. So I think it goes from like the 60s to the 90s. And you follow these 5 different women, all obviously living totally different lives, but they come together for their book club. They go through divorce, death. They travel together. They end up in a biker bar together. It's just like, it's a lovely story in the way that I love stories about friendships. And as I posted in the video that I did make about this book, I love and admire and envy the friendships that they make with it. Like, motherhood is just such a lonely, isolating time. I've already said that. It's so true though. And the fact that these women found these friendships and read these books together, it's just so enviable. And I just loved it. All of them are felt fully fleshed out characters. You get to know them so well. This book has been so dear to me since I was 18. Another book that has just stuck with me for so long. I just love the characters. I love every single one. I love the story so much. I highly recommend it if you're I just as a woman, as a mom, I really, really related with the book, but I related to the book being a woman even before I was a mom. So you don't have to be a mom by any means to read this. Do I think that men would resonate with the book? I don't know. I mean, I really just think that females would benefit from reading this book if you enjoy reading about female friendships. I just think that it's such a lovely book, and I will continue to read it again and again until the day I die. So, those were my 6 books that I read, right? Yeah, it was 6 books. Yeah, it was 6 books that I read in the month of October. So I think that one of the books that I didn't get to, I didn't get to 2 different books, the Graveyard Book and the Final Girls, maybe. I didn't get to the Final Girls because it was a library book and my mom borrowed it at the exact time that I was finishing up Roanoke Girls. So that's why I didn't read the Final Girls, but she really liked it, and I just returned it to the library because now it's Nonfiction November and I don't need that book anymore. So I'm excited about Nonfiction November. I've already posted my TBR for it, which I'm blazing right through Between Two Kingdoms, and I will talk about that in a separate video. But yeah, if you watch this whole thing, if you want to leave the smiley face, the smiley face emoji. Again, I can't put it in here because I am not going to edit this video at all. So I would appreciate you letting me know what books that you're going to be reading. What books did you read in October? Did you make a TBR for November? I would love to hear from you. I would love to watch whatever you're putting out. Let me know if you have read any of these books, and I will talk to you next time.